Should you be traveling abroad in 2022? Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Mac. So my family and I moved to the UK in 2020. So we've been here now for a little bit over a year. And that in itself was a very challenging experience. We traveled and moved here during the middle of a COVID lockdown. So we may go into a story time at some point about that. But today I want to talk about, should you be traveling abroad in 2022? And my opinion is, for some people, yes. For other people, probably not. There's a couple of things you need to think about if you're going to be traveling abroad in today's environment. Of course, if you're going to travel abroad, you're going to be traveling internationally, you always need your passport. That's number one. So for those of you who are procrastinating, saying you want to go somewhere, you haven't gotten that passport, you're not going anywhere until you get your passport. So that's the first thing. You have to do that. But today's world is a little different. Not only do you need your passport, you have to be aware of the COVID restrictions for the country that you live in, the airlines, and the country that you're going to. We did a lot of travel as a family in 2021 to about 3 or 4 different countries. And in each country, in each instance, the travel restrictions and the COVID restrictions were all a little different. So one nation will say you have to have a test, one nation will say you don't, or they'll say you have to have this type of test or that type of test. It could be pretty complicated, and it can be very time consuming to try to get it all timed out right, because you have to take the test within a certain amount of time before you fly and a certain amount of time before you land. So that's why I would say for some people, this may not be the right time for you to travel abroad. It's kind of complicated, but if you still want to travel abroad, you can. You're just going to have to know what are those COVID restrictions and requirements and expectations for where you live, the airlines, and where you're going. And those are typically, they're not always the same. Every nation has their own requirements and expectations, and those things are always shifting. Daily, sometimes those requirements change. So people have been stranded before because they leave under one set of requirements, and then it'll change before they can get back home. I was standing in line, we were in Portugal, or we were going to Portugal, and there were people who were in line with us, and they were getting checked, and they were checking their testing. And these individuals had, I believe they'd taken a COVID test, but they hadn't taken the right kind of test. And although we were right there and the plane was just right there in front of us, they were not allowed to board the plane. They had to go back and get retested, and they had to catch a later flight. So that's just something to consider if you're talking about traveling in 2022. That was in 2021, but it's not much different now. So if you're going to be traveling in this environment, you definitely have to be aware of all of those COVID restrictions. And then, are there going to be any quarantine requirements for when you land? Any testing requirements? Of course, every time we come back into the UK, there's a 2-day test, so we do those testing. So you have to be aware of all of that, and you can't skip it, you can't get around it. And if you're not willing to follow through with that, then maybe you want to wait and give the whole COVID thing a little bit more time to work itself out. But if you're traveling, then that's definitely something you're going to have to consider. And if you're talking about moving abroad, of course, then there's a whole nother host of expectations and requirements for you if you're going to be moving abroad. If you're going to be moving abroad, of course, you have to know, where do you want to live? Where do you want to work? How are you going to support yourself? What are the visa requirements? So listen, myself and Blair, we're going to be doing a series of videos where we go through a lot of the different things that we've learned and through our experience of living abroad. And we want to try to help out anyone else, because I get a lot of questions and emails and comments from people who say, hey, how do you guys do this, and how do you do that, and can you help me figure this out? And so I'm going to kind of pull those things together. And if you have any questions or comments, drop that down in the comments below of this video. Also, like and subscribe. If you want to be able to keep up with us as we drop these videos and kind of help you out, if we can, we're going to be dropping these videos over the next weeks to months. So follow along with us on our journey, and as these videos come out, you'll be notified. So like, subscribe, hit that notification button if you want to keep up with us in that way. So if you're traveling, you're gonna have to have your passport. You're gonna have to follow and meet all those COVID expectations and requirements, and you're gonna have to wear your mask if you're on an airplane. those requirements are probably not going to go away anytime soon. So I suggest you go out and get a very comfortable mask, one that you feel that meet all the requirements, of course, but something that you're comfortable with being in if you're going to be wearing it for an extended period. And if you're traveling internationally, you will be wearing it for an extended period. I believe just a couple weeks ago, the U.S. had people who wanted an international flight and they didn't wear their mask, and they literally turned the plane around. And you don't want to be that person. Don't be that person. You're going to have to follow the rules if you're traveling internationally, especially in this current world that we live in. And as this has been going on for 2 years, you either have to get used to it or you don't move. But international travel is phenomenal. It has been completely eye-opening for me and my family. I would not have changed and given up this experience for anything else in the world. This has been wonderful. The country we're living in, the UK, we really love it here. We have a lot of videos to talk about how much we enjoy being here. We think that it's really great, and we would not have had this experience if we had not moved here. I did not grow up as someone who really ever considered living outside the United States, but a series of jobs and experiences has kind of led me to the place that I'm in right now, and I'm very happy with where I'm at. Very happy to have my children here, to be raising them in this country, in this environment, surrounded by the people who we're around. We're really enjoying our experience. So I think that you could also have a wonderful experience, either living abroad or traveling abroad. You don't have to move overseas. Just go visit. Pick a place. Find out a little bit about it. Get your finances right if you don't have them. Work through it. There are a lot of different options for you and a lot of different places you can go, and just kind of broaden your horizon. So if you get that opportunity, I highly suggest you take it. So should you travel in 2022? Maybe. I don't want to oversell it. I don't want to undersell it. There's a lot of restrictions and a lot of requirements, but it's definitely worth it. If you're willing to put in the legwork to make it happen, I think you can have a really wonderful time. So that's it, guys. Follow along with us as we kind of cover some of these topics and cover some of these issues in videos for you. We will continue to post up our experiences, and if you ever have any comments or questions, reach out to me, reach out to Blair, send us an email, drop it in the comments, and we'll try to get back with you as soon as we possibly can, because this has been a great experience and we would love to be able to help you have your own experience. All right, until the next time, take care.